Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our fourth of our 5 monthly chats dedicated to, actually, this is our fifth, I believe, but our fourth course talk out of the 5 we're going to have. This one is pertaining to Ludington, Michigan. The next one will be Austin, Texas next month. And that'll wrap up the series we have on talking about our courses. So my name is Aaron Pallian. I'm one of the directors with Odyssey. Lars is the other one. He couldn't be here tonight, but we have our right-hand man, John Stevens, up there, who's won a number of races. He travels with us to all the events, quite frankly, because we love to put him through the paces and punish him out on the course to see if he can do what we dream up. So John's in Maine, same time zone as us. It's 7 p.m. I'm in the Detroit area. So I'm the main director for the Ludington, Michigan race. It's in October, and the Mackinac race, it's at the end of August. So tonight we're going to go over Ludington. We'll make it as simple and to the point and quick as possible. We want to try and keep it under an hour. Most of them have tended to be around an hour, but we'll cover some other things aside from the course that kind of correlate with the course a little bit, but we may veer off from time to time. If anyone on the call has a question, you can type it in the chat window, and John or I, whoever's not talking, will answer that, or we'll stop talking and answer that. And then we'll stop the end and just talk to you guys, see if you have any questions on anything in general. So our website is ÖDYSSEY and within that website, there is a races section that has a page dedicated to each individual race. When I share my screen in a minute, we'll be going over the map that is located on that page. Our maps are nice looking. They're illustrated, but they're not as detailed as if you were to pull up per se, like let's say a Google map, and you were to zoom way in on satellite mode. They're not as complicated as that, as detailed as that. You can always do that yourself and kind of see exactly what we're talking about. But for tonight, we might use both. We're going to start out with the illustrated map. I've got some photos that I took. I'm also a professional photographer. I took those photos while John was out running the course and we were going back and forth. So you'll be able to see firsthand what sections of the course actually look like. And John is our first finisher. He did the course last year in September, which is a little bit earlier. He did it 2 weeks earlier than we're actually going to have it this year. So John, if you want to talk a little bit while I queue up the map here, go ahead and introduce yourself and just talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. All right, yeah, John Stevens, and as Aaron said, I help out in all the races. I am more hands-on with the race we do here in Maine and Casco Bay and planning that one out. But again, at all the other races, especially on the side of trying to find a course and make it work and put it all together. So, Aaron called me up last summer when he had this idea for Ludington, and we actually went out there, and he came up with a great course online. But obviously, we kind of have to run through that and really see how it all comes together and how it all pieces together. And we spent a couple of days, I think 2 days, running through this course in Ludington, and it held up, and it's awesome, and it came together really well. So it's going to be fun to kind of walk everyone through this. And see some of the pictures that Aaron took on that day, because it's a pretty dynamic course, and that you like a lot of our swimrun courses, you get a little bit of everything. And this one's unique in the sense that you start right in downtown Ludington, running down Main Street. I don't know if it's called Main Street, Aaron, you can correct me there, but it's the main street that runs through Ludington. And then from there, you're kind of just making your way out of town, and you kind of get a little more rustic as you go, finishing up in the sand dunes in the state park there. And it's a pretty magical course.
So to share my screen and just jump right into this and get started, I'm going to do that right now. Share the course here. All right, John, you can see that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I've zoomed in. This is actually, so let me go back here to our website. I would imagine that if you're watching or listening to this, you've been to our website. I can't imagine you got to this point without knowing what our website is, but ÖDYSSEY This is our homepage. If you go up to info, there's any question that you have. I would be shocked, but I would love for you to come up with questions that we don't have on our frequently asked questions and rules section. I've spent a lot of time. I also am the one who answers the customer service emails. If it takes a little longer, sometimes I apologize, but I answer those, and I take the ones that are asked the most and I put them on the FAQs, and then I combine that into a rules section. It's got accordion drop downs and all of that. So if you have questions, go there, check it out. If you don't find the answer, let me know. I would love to get questions that I can add to this that we don't have. So just see what you guys come up with. But over here where it says races, this is where we house all the information for every race. Go down to Ludington. We try to fit all the information for Ludington that we can on one page here. So if we scroll down, we'll come back to the schedule and all that, but let's just jump right into the map. If you click on this map, it'll bring up a PDF. I upload the PDF instead of the JPEGs, not just for our peace of mind having those there, but if you guys wanted to print the PDFs, if you want to look at them and enlarge them, they are better quality. So first, let me say that the city of Ludington and the state park have been great to work with. They definitely welcome the event, as do most of the locations we go to. They really love swim run because it's something unique. A lot of places have 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, even triathlons. And while they don't necessarily turn those away, they always look for something unique that they can, kind of brag about and say, hey, look what our city's got in our town. And that's something cool about swim run, and we appreciate that. Ludington's been great. So we work with the city and then also the state park. There's two elements to this race. The long course uses both. They're within city limits, and then we go into the state park as well, whereas the short course is just the state park. So tonight we're going to go over the long course first, and the short course actually does there's very little from the short course that varies. So when we get to that spot, I'll jump over to the short course, show you how that starts, and when that joins up, that's it for the short course. You just know that you guys do the rest of the race like everybody else. So in the morning, we're going to load up shuttle buses of some kind. We're not 100% sure what they'll be. They might be school buses. They might be just the short transport buses, whatever. We will load those up in the state park, which is, I actually moved my cursor on the wrong spot. The state park's all the way up here. Sorry about that. So we're going to load up in the state park because that's where our finish line is. So if you're staying in the city and you want to walk to the start, that's fine. You don't have to get on our bus. The thing is, if you do that, you're going to end at the state park. And if you don't have a ride back from there to the city, you're going to be out of luck, because the only shuttles we're running as of now is the one or two in the morning that are taking you guys from the state park, the start of the short course. Long course will load there in the state park beach parking lot, and then we will bus you guys out to downtown Ludington, the town, the city. So that's how the long course is going to go. And then that way, when you finish, you're at your car and you can just leave. So again, you're more than welcome to join us without taking the shuttle. But when you finish, you're going to have to find your way back to downtown if that's where you started from with your car. So everyone's got on the bus. Let's assume that everyone's on there, and we'll talk about any potential COVID protocol later. But for now, let's assume everyone's on the bus. We get going, we're downtown here, and there's a park, Rotary Park, that is, I believe, one full square block, city block down here. And we're going to pull into the side of that park, and that's where we'll start, because we can close down this little side road here, which is Lewis Street. So we'll start out going north on Lewis Street. Now, again, due to COVID protocols, I can't see that we would be allowed to necessarily do a regular mass start. I hope we will. I'm going to shoot for that. Let's hope we're all there. But worst case scenario, we line everyone up like we did at Austin, and you guys are a certain distance apart, whether that's by cones or tape on the road or whatever it is, and you guys start. I don't think you'll have to have a mask if you don't want, but if you do, you can toss that as you cross the line. That's kind of what we've done in the past. So fingers crossed we can have a normal start. No matter how you start, once you cross that start line, maybe an inflatable, maybe a couple flags, you're going to make a sharp right onto Court Street, and it may be the sidewalk, it may be the street. I think that Court Street right now, we're going to go with the street itself because it's a short distance and you guys will be packed together. Even if COVID isn't restricting how we start, we may start teams versus solo, or male and female, or maybe both, just to at least spread those out, because you guys do have a very short distance here before you turn, and then you will for sure be on the sidewalks here on East Ludington Avenue. So we may spread you out at least by 2 or 4 groups here, no matter what. So you run down Court Street, you turn onto, sorry, my eyes aren't so good right now, onto Row. and then you turn to head west on Ludington Avenue, which is the main, John called it Main Street, Ludington Avenue. You're going to run down the sidewalk. If you've been through Ludington, that's really just that main road, that really beautiful wide road that you can run all the way down. You'll see the park where you start here on the right, and you're going to go all the way down. And I'm going to stop once I get through the first swim here and just let John kind of talk about what it was like to do that section. But you're going to run down Ludington Avenue. You're going to get down where the parking is, kind of by the break wall here to go out to the lighthouse. You'll kind of zigzag it over. You'll run onto the beach here, and there's some pavement that goes along by the break wall. You'll kind of break away from that. You'll run to the sand right up to the water, and you'll get in along the break wall. We're not going on the break wall and like jumping in or anything like that. You're going to just run right up along where the break wall is, but you'll be on the beach. You'll walk, swim, dive out there, whatever you want to do, the dolphin dive if you want, whatever, to get out to where those buoys are. There's a line of swim buoys, no wake buoys, whatever those are. They're white cylindrical buoys, and those are permanent. They're for people that, you know, are on the beach and swimming. You're going to keep those on your right. So you're going to get out to those. You're going to start just swimming in a straight line and keep those on your right. Swim parallel with the beach. It's not too far off the beach. It's nothing different than if you were just to go and be on the beach and swim with your family in a recreational atmosphere. The difference is it's super early in the morning. It's October. The waves might kick up a little, but this is pretty safe in here, so to speak. It's open water. It's Lake Michigan. It's, you know, you look to your left and it just goes on forever, but you're within that swim area. So you're going to swim almost the entire length of the beach. And whereas the beach house is, like the boathouse, whatever you want to call it down here, there's like a little mat right up to the water. You're going to exit there. It'll be, I believe it's the last buoy. You hook right, swim straight to shore, get out, run along the little sidewalk here that connects to the street, and you're going to run up. So before I get into any of that, John, can you just kind of talk about running in the city, the beach swim, all of that?
Yeah, definitely. So that first run, I know if you hear sidewalk and you get worried, don't worry. It's a big, wide sidewalk. It's not like a small brick sidewalk that's bumpy, which I say that because I live in an old town in Maine and all our sidewalks are like that. But no, this is a nice wide sidewalk and nice and flat, and it's pretty roomy, and there's enough room for people to get down to. The other plus to that is it is a slight downhill. So you can really actually, I mean, for people that are racing, you can open it up on that first run, especially after you turn the corner and start heading down towards, make those couple of turns and head down Ludington Ave there towards the water. Like I said, it's a slight downhill, and you can open it up and get going fast, and it's smooth running on the sidewalk there for sure. Once you get down to the water, it's pretty easy to see where you go in along the breakwater there, and obviously, like, I think pretty much right where that dotted line hooks to turn up on the swim, there's the first buoy there, so you can see that buoy pretty easily that you need to get to. I think the only thing I would say is be prepared for this first swim, in the sense that if there are waves on the course, this is where you're going to feel them, and it's probably going to be there's 2 swims in Lake Michigan, so those are going to be the cold swims. So this first swim is going to be a colder swim, so just kind of prepare yourself for that.
John, you swam it in September. That water was what, maybe 60?
Upper 50s, lower 60s. Yeah, it's probably just around 60, a little bit below would be my guess. So
I would say let's plan for the worst, hope for the best. I've looked at the almanacs, and I think maybe they're off. Maybe they're skewed by, a decade worth of warmer water or whatever, because this year it said in May it should have been in the low 60s, high 50s. That water was definitely 2 weeks ago, not high 50s. So I would plan, let's say mid 50s, but I'll say that when you have the wetsuit on, I mean, you're going to feel like a mid 50s swim is maybe low 60s. So you should be okay there.
And you've also just busted out a 1.5 mile run pretty hard. So you're going to be warmed up, you're going to be hot, you're going to be ready to go. And it'll be cold, but it's not like you're starting cold at a triathlon. You've been standing around for 45 minutes waiting to start, and it's 55 degrees. You're hot, you're moving, you're into it, type of 55 degrees. So it's not crazy. And so I know people might get not freak out about it, but be worried about it. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be. And it's a short swim. It's 650 meters down the beach, and the beach, it's pretty easy to follow because you've got the buoys, you've got the beach on one side, and I'm 99% sure, Aaron, you were right. That last buoy is the turn in, and once you get to the last buoy, you can kind of line that up along with the idea that there is this little beach house there on the beach that you can swim into, and I'm sure we'll have a marker there, and there'll be a blue mat, so it'll be pretty easy to see that swim exit and see where you need to make that turn. And then it's right into the beach and right up on the sidewalk. And yeah, and there's that main Ludington drag, I believe, right, Aaron?
So if you look, this is actually pointing away from the beach. It's pointing east, not west. So right here on the left bottom corner is the park we're going to start in. So this road, this connecting road here, perpendicular to Ludington Avenue, that is going to be, I believe it was Lewis, and then Court Street is this one back here. And then you'll run down here and you'll connect with this road and run right down the sidewalk right here. So you'll be running towards the bottom of this photo. The next photo, I believe, is the other direction. So you're now running towards the top of it. There's Lake Michigan. You're going to run all the way down. You can see the lighthouse here and the pier that comes over. So you're going to kind of run zigzag over towards the beach here and then get in right here and swim across. So I don't have a lot of pictures of that area leading up to the second swim, just because the weather wasn't so good and there were some big waves out there. John's a good swimmer, but it was cold and it was a rough day. So anyway, let's go back to the map. Was there anything else you wanted to add, John, before I talk about run two?
No, I don't think so. It's pretty straightforward run out of that swim, and then I'll let you talk us through the run to the swim two.
So our goal here,
John, when you did it,
go ahead.
Did you do it in the morning or in the afternoon? Just out of curiosity. It's usually calmer in the morning, right?
It was just one of those days, right? I mean, maybe one. I would say there's probably 2 or 3 early mornings per year where it's pretty bad, and it could have been worse. Don't get me wrong, but John, it was pretty rough, right?
At that point, it wasn't bad. It got worse as the day went on. I mean, I wouldn't even qualify that first one as being even really that rough. Ironman wouldn't have canceled their swim for that. For that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it, but I'm just saying, early start, we should be safer, right? Generally speaking.
Yeah, and when I speak cautiously like that, things sound a little worse than they are. Keep in mind, I probably am talking to the beginners or people that haven't really done that many before, that are a little standoffish about the swim. I'd rather overly prepare and help them plan for something, and then they're pleasantly surprised, right? So yeah, I mean, and the good thing about it here is, even if the waves are a little bigger, you're in a beach area where you normally swim. Sure, there can be riptides and or the waves can push you out or whatever, but generally speaking, you're going to have a little more safety in here, and it's going to be a little better for swimming. So all right, you come off the beach, you're running the sidewalk, you're connecting to Lakeshore Drive. Now we're going to cross the road right here. We will have a police presence, the Ludington Police Department. They're going to work Court Street and all these streets in here beyond Ludington Avenue on the cross streets. What they've asked, though, because they do have limited resources, if you've been to Ludington, it's a great city. It's not that big. They do have a police force, but they don't have a ton of off-duty officers, and for us to tap into all those and then some of their on duty, it's not really fair for them in that regard. So what they've asked is that we just have they're going to put people where they can, but if we have people there at major signalized intersections, which every one of these side streets is not signalized, there's some that are stop signs and stuff. So we're going to ask that you guys, as you run through these, if there's not a light, and even if there is, just be aware of the traffic all around you. When we were down there were like 6 cars the whole time, so it shouldn't be an issue. But just be aware of your surroundings. When you get down here and you're actually crossing some of these bigger streets, there will be police officers there, of course. And then when you get out and you cross here, there's going to be an officer here to make sure everyone gets on that sidewalk safely. So, and actually, there's a sidewalk here, but it quickly turns into you just running on the side of the road. That shoulder of the road is fairly large. It's not something where you should really worry about, cars running you down. Always, again, be aware of your surroundings. If you want to look over your shoulder when you hear a car, that's the more you do that, the better. But it's a fairly large shoulder, so we're banking on the safety aspect there. John, you ran that section. You didn't feel like you were unsafe, did you?
Yeah, no, it was fine. Yeah, no, it was totally fine. I didn't feel unsafe at all at any point in that.
So you're going to run down Lakeshore Drive to Bryant Road, and you'll turn down Bryant Road, and it's just kind of a neighborhood. There's a cemetery on your left. You're going to run down to this intersection here, which is Rath. And then right on the corner here, there's some trails that you can hop on. It's not that long, but at least it gets you off the road. These go through the woods. There's some camping over in here. I think it's over in here, an RV park over in this area. But you're going to run through the trails here, and it'll dump you out on the south side of Lincoln Lake. Now, right now where I have this is getting in. There's a couple docks that have railings. One of them has a gazebo. We're not going to be able to get in by like jumping that fence and hopping in. John did, but it's one person and it was just to test it out. We can't, as an event, do that. It's not safe. It could hurt the dock. It could hurt you guys. So right now we're just kind of saying you're getting in there. I'm going down next week or within the next 2 weeks. And actually over here, there's a couple houses that have docks we could jump off. One has a beach we could go in on. I am thinking that one of them would say yes. We've really not been turned down in most of our races by private property if we get them insurance. So that's the route we're going here instead. But just know, worst case, as a backup, we will find a place here. It may not be the prettiest, but you'll be able to get in. But we're definitely aiming for a nicer backyard kind of jump into this lake. So when you get in Lincoln Lake, this swim may be a little bit longer, maybe 50 to 75 meters longer than what I currently have it at if we start back here. But from what John said, when you get in, you're just going to follow the shoreline. We likely will not have any buoys or anything like that. We'll have someone probably right where you get in, wherever that is, and they'll just remind you, hey, get in to where it's deep enough where you can swim, follow the shoreline this direction. We've done it in a lot of races. It works just fine. Keep your distance from the shoreline. Just every time you sight, kind of check it out. It should look the same distance. You can tell about how far away you are, and just keep hugging that shoreline, but don't get too close to it. And just keep going down until you kind of hook around and you see this, the bridge, the road here. And there's a little boat ramp right here, and you'll see it. John had no issues. He swam right around. We were waiting over here. This is where we'll have a water stop. You'll see these people here. We'll have a big pink teardrop flag, 20 foot tall, probably a cone, maybe some flashers, but at least the flag and a volunteer there, a table with some supplies. You get out there, and then you just get back on the side of the road on the shoulder, and you keep running towards the state park. So John, do you want to kind of talk about anything with run 2, getting in the water? I know that lake was pretty dark. You said you couldn't see anything getting in.
Yeah. So, I mean, the run's pretty straightforward with a couple of roads there. The trails are nice because, again, you're off the road. It's a paved trail. And so, you know, it's like all our races, right? We say heads up racing, and the idea that someone may be out walking their dog that morning, you don't know. So just keep an eye out for people. And I know there are mountain bike trails that crisscross across those. I doubt I didn't see any mountain bikers out that morning, so I doubt you will, but you never know. Just heads up for that. When you do get to that lake, it is dark. I mean, dark, like you probably can't see more than 2 feet down. So just beware of, you know, maybe there's a tree. I doubt it. I didn't see anything. It was a totally fine, clear swim. You just follow the shoreline, like Aaron said, and eventually you'll see that little bridge, and then you'll kind of see this hook in, and this is the swim out right here, where it, like Aaron said, it's a nice little boat ramp, and it just comes right up onto shore. You won't see it until you see it, but when you see it, you'll definitely see it.
So when John came around, like I said, just follow the shoreline, but keep your distance to the tune of knowing that you're far enough away where likely there's not going to be anything coming up. The lake does get deeper. It's not one of those ones that has sandbars and everything that we've seen. So if you just keep a healthy distance, but you're close enough, you should be fine. Just don't get into the reeds or any of that kind of stuff that's close to the edge. So, and I'll take some pictures of this area because, like I said, I am lacking those specifically when I go out there this month. and share those with you guys. And we'll be going out there. I think my brother's going to come out at the end of the month with me and try and at least run the whole thing, swim some of it. So we'll have some live video and things like that. So let me go back here and see if there's any. This was this? No, that was a different lake. Sorry. Okay, so let's just get back to it. You're on the shoulder of the road again. You're running over the bridge. You'll see people swimming in the lake if you look to your right. And you just follow this road up and hang a right. And you're going to go out towards your third swim. So you're going to go all the way down here. And this section here, let me show you all of this. You come off the road, you go through some tall dune grass, get into the sand. There's a big dune climb here. Then you run kind of a ridge on the dunes and you get down to get in the water. You swim this section and you get out. And let me just show you some pictures of that. So this is the road that leads up to it, the side road that leads around the back end right here. Oh, sorry, guys. This section here where the dune climb is. Let's see if this tall grass is what you're going to run through. Now it doesn't look like there's a trail there, but there is a small single track trail that he's running on, believe it or not. This is the area. Yeah, it's a little too creative to see what it is, but that's a picture of John's butt. So this trail here going kind of through a woodsy area is how you're going to get up there. And this is the run to get to the dune, which is right in here. And so you see this dune up ahead of him. And then let me make sure I'm showing you the right thing here, guys.
Yeah, it's right next to it there. Yeah.
This is the dune going up to the top, and it's hard with pictures to show the true incline of that dune. John, you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, it sucks. No, it is. It's up, and my memory of it is worse because Aaron, of course, needed the shot from below. He needed the shot from above. He needed the shot from the side. So I had to run that thing like 4 times in a row. But anyway, it is steep. I mean, you're running along the beach, as you could see before that, and then it's kind of a hard hook to the right, and at that point you are just yeah. There's a good shot of me going up at you, Aaron.
This is another shot of that.
Yeah.
The photos aren't in order. That's why I'm going around, but that's another shot from the side. And then this is another shot.
I mean, it's hands on knees and your feet are slipping out from under you with every step. And it seems that you're covering less distance with every step you take in that sense. So it's fun. It's challenging, but you're glad when you get to the top.
When you turn off the road right here, you're running down to the water and then you're running up, up these dunes here. And these are out of order. So unless I say that's it, don't assume any of these other ones are that. As you run the ridge right here to get down to the water, you're going to run the top of this hill and you run down to where John is right here.
You can't even quite see it because on the other side of what looks like the ridge going down to the water, it actually on the back side of that is another sand dune that drops right down. So you kind of like jump into this sand hill and slide right down. It's pretty fun, and you end up right here at this nice little tree.
So when we plotted this out, John actually swam straight north in this picture, or I guess it's west in this picture. But since then we've had to revise it where you're going to have to come to this point right here and you're going to have to swim what is left in the picture. And so we also, sorry guys, I keep clicking back to the wrong thing here. So I'll show you that swim. It's nothing too extraordinary, but that's what that swim looks like swimming to the left. And so you'll swim to the left here, you'll get out and you'll run this road back. This is an out and back. You get there by running there and you run back out to this main road and then you'll run into the park. Now, here's something that I'm going to really try to make happen. You can't really see it in this picture because this close up of the park is blocking it, but there's a line of dunes right here. And I didn't really explore it, quite frankly. I didn't think it was possible to run them in. I didn't know it was part of the state park. I thought it was just off the boundary. But since then, someone has told me that it actually is the state park. and there's a single track ridge trail on these dunes at the top, running this whole ridge all the way to where we want to go right here at Rick's spot. So I may revise this because, yeah, that would make it harder. But guys, I mean, if you can run on the top of a ridge of dunes all the way, or walk, or whatever you want to call it, to get to your next swim versus going back out to the asphalt road and running all the way up, that's going to be a better event. Now, this is what we have right now. So for sure, we're at least going to have this. It's not bad, but it would be an improvement to be able to do the dunes. So I'm going to see about that. If that happened, it would just be a straight shot. We would reroute this swim probably to get in where you exit, swim across, go up the dune climb, so you still have that, and shoot straight across over to Rick's spot, this swim here. It would actually be a little bit less of a run, probably by at least a half to 3/4 of a mile. But it would be a lot harder because you're going on sand the entire time. So just bear with me there. Just know that it's going to be one of those two. And for the sake of the rest of this talk, let's just talk about what I know I have approved right now. So you're going to come back down pavement here. We wanted to swim across the lake and come out just kind of less of an out and back, but this is privately owned property. It's an active quarry. We could probably do it, no problem, safe, but we haven't really been able to get them to approve that. So we're going to go with what we know we have. You come back out to the main road here, to 116 that leads into the state park. This is just you running on the right side of the road with traffic. Nice big shoulder. This road is 2 lanes, but it has big shoulders each direction. It's meant for people to pull off. In fact, you're going to have to watch out. There'll be probably a bunch of cars. When I say a bunch, maybe half to a dozen cars you'll have to kind of just run around that are on the shoulder. If you see those, try to run around them away from the road, like kind of into the sand around them on the right side versus running into traffic. So you're going to run all the way down. It's a really long run. There is no shade whatsoever. It's probably the most brutal part of the course. And before I get into all of this, John, you want to talk? I mean, there's not a lot to talk about there, but maybe just.
No, you've got some shots of it, I think, from the drone, so you could probably see the immensity of it. I mean, so big wide shoulder. It's a big stretch of road.
John was on the wrong side here, not his fault. That's just how we were filming it. But the other side is where you would be. But
I was also by myself, though. Run into traffic, Aaron. Jeez.
well,
Anyway, no, it isn't a big stretch. So as he says, it is kind of exposed, and it is kind of open. But on the other hand, it's a flat stretch of road where you can. It's a good spot to take nutrition. It's a good spot to open it up and stretch your run legs a little bit. As again, the people that are racing, that's where you can make. If you're a runner, that's where you can make up some time and really get after things. And it's seen. I mean, you've got dunes on one side, you've got these little lakes on the other. I mean, you're on a road, but it's a scenic road, and it is nice. And then every once in a while, as Aaron said, there's these parking lots that allow looks down to the water. So all of a sudden it'll open up and you can kind of peek down to the lake, and you've got the lake on one side as well. So it is a nice run but it is a spot where you just kind of have to, you can't, like I said, you can open it up on the road a little bit and just you're going to be feeling the pavement.
So I wanted to just jump back real quick to that other swim, that second swim there. This view is one I forgot to show. So at the top of that dune climb we were talking about, if you turn around, that's the view you see right there. So absolutely gorgeous. But getting back to that long run, let's see if I don't know if I have an aerial shot of that. Oh yeah, I do right here. So this is that run where you'll be on the right side of the road, but you could see Lake Michigan over here. And then what's really cool is when I moved back to Michigan a few years ago, I had no idea. I mean, you're driving along and you see these little cool marsh type things. We're not going to swim in them. They're fresh water, of course. When I say fresh water, of course, they're not salt, but what I meant was they're not boggy and marshy, like super gross. They're actually really clean and clear. But they're wildlife areas that we don't want to disturb, and they're not deep or anything like that, but they're really cool to look at, these areas here. But no, we're not swimming through these. But you'll be on the road and you can see them. They're really cool. You go all the way down into the state park down here, and this is that run on that stretch of road. So, and sorry guys, out of order. I'm just noticing photos I didn't show you, but John was talking about that ridge on swim 2. This is him dropping down onto that swim there. So that's just going backwards again, but let's go back to the map here. Okay. So you've run up this road and you've gotten into the state park here. You're you're running down, you're taking a right here on the Skyline Trail dune climb, the road to go over there. And this is the section where you start to do the climb on the stairs, and there's a wood walkway that is up on top of the dunes, the Skyline Trail, and it drops you down, and you do some climbing off of that, the stairs and the wood path. You drop down and you climb up dunes again. Here's another dune climb, and you go down to what's called Rick's Spot. And I've got some photos of that. So I'll show you that while John kind of talks about that.
I mean, that's one of the coolest, one of the coolest sections of the course for sure. You kind of come off the road, you're into the park, and that's kind of leading into the park right there on that photo that Aaron has. And then, yeah, you hit these wood stairs and this wood walkway. And I will say, if your shoes are wet, which they're going to be, especially if the walkway is wet, which it could be, it's slippery. So watch your step.
I would say most dangerous part of the course, and that includes the Lake Michigan swims, potentially the one out at Sable Lighthouse, Big Sable.
Yeah,
this is far more dangerous than any of that. These are, it rained a little bit, and these things were like ice. So I'm not sure that, and he had shoes that had traction, John, and you were still slipping everywhere.
Yeah, it's slipping and sliding. I mean, it gets a slick little kind of like an algae on top of it. But it's a beautiful run. You kind of go from this wide space on the road and through that kind of boggy marsh area to this like completely wooded area where you're going up all these steps and all these runways and all this stuff. And it, like I said, it's very cool. And then you'll kind of see, I think Aaron will get there in a second, right here, there's a stairway that just leads to the sand. So all of a sudden you're out of the woods and you're in the dunes again. And
all the wood structure you saw him running on, as I flipped through those, that structure is up quite a ways. You climb on the steps to get up that. It's a lot of steps, at least 100, if not more, I would guess. You get up on top of the dunes, and that pathway runs on the ridge of that dune, and then you are coming down here to descend. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it drops you down to this big drop in. Basically, it's this huge sand dune hill. Thankfully, on that one, you're going down. And you kind of run down into that, and then it's this kind of a sand duney kind of trail, kind of sand area takes you to the next swim, and through that you'll kind of go through some woods, and that's where you'll end up here eventually, what Aaron is showing you. It's heads up racing in there because there are a lot of different trails that go a lot of different ways, so just make sure you're looking for signs and flags, and obviously we'll have the course very well marked, but just make sure you're going the right way on that. And there is another kind of brutal dune climb going up to this point where you can see me running across that ridge right there. But you come to the top, and that's when you can kind of look down. You can see the next swim, and from where that is, it just drops right into the beach and right into that next swim.
So I don't have any of John swimming anymore in this race. As we go through this, it's going to be all run shots, and the reason for that is not every year. But some years there's duck itch or swimmer's itch, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes that presents itself either in the spring or from what I've read, more rarely in the fall. And at this point in September, it was on the back end of that. I don't even know if it was in the water at that time. From what I've read, it comes late August sometimes or in June. And we were in September. It could have just been a sign that had been left up, but I didn't want to throw John in the water. He certainly didn't want to get in if that was the case. Now, that being said, that's also the reason we have this race in early October, because it's cold enough, it's late enough in the season where, from all the people I've talked to at the state park, it's rarely ever, if ever, an issue in October. So we did that so that we didn't really have to deal with that. Also, part of the thing with the spring race is that you run the risk of there's a lot of birds that'll randomly nest in different parts of the park. And we could literally have to change up the entire course in multiple areas just to accommodate bird nesting. And you're not going to run into that in October. So that's another reason we had it in October, aside from obviously the weather and having warmer water. So I'm going to go back to the map. Okay, so what you'll see here is that photo you just saw where he's descending to the next swim. You can see Hamlin Lake and Lost Lake and all this area here. That is officially swim 4. I'm going to jump over real quick to the short course so you can see the difference. So the short course will start over where our finish line kind of is, where we load the buses up in the parking lot at Ludington State Park Beach parking lot here. They will run through the parking lot, down the road here, the main road, just out where the where the concessions are, where they take the ticket or admission, they take the tickets usually. You'll run through there and you'll get on this, you'll join in right with the long course right here on the Skyline Trail, the road to get to the wooded structure. And then that's it. You eliminate everything prior to that and you join them right here for your run one. And everything else is exactly the same. That's the difference, okay? So for the short course, you're gonna park in here and you'll end in here and there's no buses or anything. It's great. But you don't get that whole experience of that first bigger Lake Michigan swim, the running through town, the really cool lake and dune climb prior. So there's trade-offs for sure. All right, so I'm just going to jump over back to the long course. Actually, I'm probably better suited staying on short because it's a little bit bigger and easier to see. But just know this is all the same. I'm going to zoom out just a little here. Okay, so you've gotten in at Rick's spot. As I said, there's no real pictures of this swim, but you're going to swim through here. Now, this swim, which is swim one for a short course, is 1375 for its meters. This swim goes underneath the bridge right here, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute, and you run over that bridge later. So what's kind of cool is you'll probably see some swimmers running under you at one point when you cross this bridge. That's cool. And as you're swimming, if you get tired at any point, you're close to the edge. Now, these edges are kind of marshy, but they're not like a swamp marsh. They're kind of between what you would consider a clean lake and a swamp. It's not something that's really gross. It's clean. You can see the bottom. Swim as much as you can. There's an island here with a bunch of kayaks, and that's where people take rented kayaks. They store their kayaks when they're in the park. You could get off there and just kind of sit there if you needed a rest, but be aware that that's another swim later on after you exit and come around. So don't be mixing in here at all. You still have to get back in if you're going to sit there and take a break to continue on and do this whole swim. But this is a continuous swim from Rick's spot under the bridge, right next to this island, all the way up. You're going to exit here, and this is a really big dune climb right here to get out, okay? So just keep in mind that's there. John, maybe, I know you didn't do this swim, but you witnessed it. You did this run getting out, this dune climb, and then this run, which is over on some docks here to get back in. Maybe talk about that.
Yep. So as I said, you kind of come down into that longer swim there, and the swim is clear. It's fine. It's nice. You can see the bottom. I mean, there's nothing bad about that at all. Kind of cool. You go under this little footbridge.
This is the footbridge you go under, guys. You'll swim right under this.
So it goes right under there into that little inner lake, and then you can see it straight across. It's a pretty straight shot. I think it's the only kind of beachy part on that side. But, you know, again, you're coming out onto the beach and boom, you're right into a straight up. And it's not as long as the dune climbs, but it's definitely just, there it is, just as steep and right to the top. And again, it's another one of those hands-on knees and pushing yourself up and losing a little ground with every step. And you kind of come up from that and then boom, you're right back into the woods. And I'd say this is the most wooded section of the course. So in that now, you know,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was gonna say you've done some dunes, you've done some roads, you've done some other stuff. Now you're kind of getting into some single track wooded trail. So it's again, a little bit of everything. And it hooks around into this run that kind of comes back around along where you just swam, but these nice little single tracks that take you along the edge of the shore. And I believe, Aaron, right, you end up on these little kind of, again, some wooded walkways, which are in this case docks over the water to take you to that next little swim there.
Yeah, so just going back, that nice long swim, you can't see where you come from over at Rick's spot, where it's called Rick's spot because I can't remember if it was rocks or I think it was rocks that are white that spell out Rick's spot on the beach.
Yeah.
So anyway, you get in there and you swim, it's way back here, and you'll swim right along here and straight up. Now, when you get out, like John said, you'll run up, and I'll show you pictures of where you run through the woods, but you run this way and you loop around and you'll get back in kind of over here where the cursor is. And you can kind of see the docks right in here, and you'll swim right in there going back. There's an island here. You can't really see it too well in this picture, but let me see if I can find, sorry, my internet's killing me right now. Give it a second. But so you'll get out there, you loop back around. This is a dock section, like a boardwalk almost right here. and you'll get in, you'll hop in on the docks, and you'll just swim right alongside where the island is. And it looks like it's not an island, it's actually kind of a peninsula here. And it looks like there's water there. You're getting out right like on this island, you're getting out and you're exiting and you're coming back around onto this bridge. And that's where that bridge is that you run over the swim that's coming into the Lost Lake area in the first place. And you'll run this entire outer section. There's a bunch of little bridges in here, single track that's really narrow because these are islands and peninsulas, and you're running right alongside the water's edge and rocky shores and down trees, swamps on the inner side. It's super cool. It's probably the coolest part of the whole race. And I do not know why this is, there we go. Hold on, it's got to refresh now. So these are just some shots of that area, that whole outer wooded area that you're running through. And this is the part going into it after you exit that swim by that peninsula to go into that bridge. More of those. Oh, sorry, going backwards here. That's going over the bridge. Heading out onto those single track trails. There's another section of bridge further out. You're not swimming in this area. It's too marshy or there's too many trees and all that. Just doesn't work, but it's definitely something that's really cool to run through. John taking a breather, but you'll run across a lot of routes like this. You just got to get your knees up, have your eyes have them down, but you're also heads up racing. We're going to show you how we mark the course in a minute, but this is what that area looks like. Beautiful. Now, this is after he came all the way back around. So those were pictures of this whole area coming all the way back around. And that specific picture is when he's dropping in right here, right at the top of that dune climb area, right there. That's where that dune climb comes up originally. And you turn left to start this whole thing. This is where you come back around and meet up again. So when you meet up again, you're not getting in the water or anything. This is a long run, a very long run. It's run 3 for the short course. What run is that? That's run 6 for the long course. And that run is, I say very long, but it's long for a swim run. That's 3.3 miles, could be a little longer even than what we have on here. But you're now going to dump yourself into the forest. The trail dumps you into the forest, and you're going to be hitting sand and trees and roots and rocks. And then you get into this wilderness area that's all dunes through here. A lot of rolling climbers, rolling hills, climbing. I don't have pictures of that specific area. What I have is, this is the last stair climb after you meet up at that dune climb again to go out towards that lighthouse. And then this is the last I saw of John as I sent him on his way.
So,
and I met him over by the lighthouse. But John, talk about this area here, going through the woods, the dunes, all of this in here.
So I don't think we actually take those stairs. I think we ended up doing another trail out at the base of those stairs.
Okay, if that's true, my bad. I thought this was at the top of the stairs, but
yeah.
Hey.
So no, this is the base of it. But it does. So basically, yeah, as I said, this is the most wooded area on the course. It's this great single track trail, and this is kind of cool in the sense that you're making your way through this long run. You're dipping through the woods and the forest. You're going over all these trails, and what you'll notice is as you go, all of a sudden this nice dirt trail starts to turn a little sandier and a little sandier, and you can literally see the line on the map here. All of a sudden the trees just stop and you're just running in sand, and you're just like, what the hell? Where did the trail go? Why am I on sand dunes? And all of a sudden you lose the thing, and you're coming through these kind of rolly sand dunes that just kind of keep going. And then eventually you'll kind of come up another, it's a short, it's not long at all, short sand dune climb that comes up. And as you poke over the top of that sand dune, the lighthouse just appears right in front of you. And you're like, oh shit, here we are, let's go. And I think, yeah, Aaron, these are some of those shots right down there that you can see where you kind of come up over these dunes, and you can see it in the distance. And there's all these little kind of like small little lakes in between you and them. And honestly, we'll kind of dial in on some of those pictures here probably in a minute, but from the looks of it, I'd say some years you could swim it. Some years you, like this year when we were there, you're running through it. And I think we were actually there at a higher water year. So you'll probably be running through it no matter what. But it's about waist deep, and you see the destination at this point, and it kind of goes from, as I said, that whole run goes from great single track woods to a little sandy, soft sand trail to all of a sudden sand dunes. And then you end up in these kind of boggy marsh swims as you run across, which is kind of cool.
So I'm not 100% sure how we're going to mark this yet. I mean, John found his way without any markings at all. John, this is something I didn't ask you actually, because I just assumed, we were putting maybe some wood stakes in the sand with some flags on them. But there were markers along that trail to guide you, correct?
Yeah, there's a trail. There are like wooden post trail markers along that trail,
so
which is following at the end.
What we'll likely do is a combination, guys. And just to kind of veer off a little bit, we usually tie these to clothespins, and then we'll clip them on tree branches or bushes or whatever we can, loop them around signs or posts and tie them off. Last year we had orange and yellow bibs, and so we color coordinated. You knew which ones you were following. That's not really what we're doing this year. A lot of the courses are utilizing almost the exact same course. So what's likely going to happen is we're going to use just one color. Maybe let's hypothetically say that's yellow. We'll tell you what that is at the briefing or as the race gets closer. What we might then do is, as you get close to an important turn, we'll concentrate the flags more than we have previously as you follow them, and maybe they'll change color, and we'll let you know exactly what we decide we're going to do. But we usually, on major turns or forks in the road or path, we try to have signs. If it's paved versus dirt, we may have stickers down on the road, electrical tape with an arrow, flower, whatever. We try to mark the crap out of it the best we can. Keep in mind that sometimes it's tough. We have to set this the day before, whether it's weather, whether it's a tourist area and, kids or tourists might come by and pull signs or whatever. We haven't had too much trouble with that, but these are all open courses. So we rely on you guys to keep your wits about you, know where you are, kind of know the cardinal directions as you're out there. But these will be hanging from trees, and we'll go over a little bit more in the future exactly what to look for with these. But we'll tie these to the posts that are already there. And then along the way, if we feel like there's too much distance between them, where you may start to wonder, "Ooh, wow, did I take a wrong turn? Am I still on the right trail?" We might have these little wood stakes, like survey property stakes, that we pound into the sand because it'll be easy to do that. And then we'll tie these off so you can see them, or if there's rocks or anything like that. So that's how you're going to lead the way with those, and some other markings to be determined there. So let me go through a few of these pictures here because they're pretty cool. This is that area that dumps you out of the forest, like John said, and just you're on the dunes. They're just rollers. And I know it looks like there's no real rhyme or reason to how he's running here, but there really is kind of an established path that you see. And you can see there's more footprints here. There's actually kind of a ridge you're running on. And these are just some pictures of him running through that area. Now you can see this actually is a trail. You see the post here. There's a post here. Now these are wildlife areas. There's not a ton of birds right where you're stepping or anything like that, but we're allowed to run in the areas where they've designated it as a trail. They don't want us to get off trail whenever we don't have to. If we absolutely have to in an area and it's short, we will, but we shouldn't have to that much at all. So we're going to stick to those trail areas. We expect you guys to do the same. If you think that maybe you took a wrong turn for whatever reason, backtrack back out to the last marker and just make sure that you didn't make a mistake. Maybe there's just a longer period of time that we didn't mark it or whatever. But if you're in doubt, go back to the last marker and make absolute sure you didn't miss anything. Like John said, it's heads up. If your head's down and you miss one, that's it. You're on the wrong path. It's not like a closed off triathlon where there's just a cone line that you follow kind of deal. But here's a good example, guys, of one of the just random areas of water that's gathered. And in October, like he said, the last 2 years were higher water level years in the lakes, and it has dropped off a little bit recently. So this should be a little lower, especially approaching October. But this is John going through that area, following the trail marker there. You can see that that's waist high, heading towards the lighthouse. And we'll get to that in a second. Let's see. So Yeah, I believe that was about it, him getting out there. Okay, so that whole section takes you through this entire part right here. And it puts you out here. It'll meet up with a very established kind of gravel type trail that leads to the fire road that comes into the lighthouse that actual cars can drive on in emergencies, but they block it off. So there's really not cars here beyond the lighthouse keeper that's assigned for that month. So that'll put you out onto that. The trail establishes itself again, and you run around the lighthouse area. Now, this is the part of the course that weather could affect very, very, very easily. This is an area where they don't promote swimming. It's not really allowed. I mean, no one stops you if you're out there on any given day, but it is very dangerous. There is no, it's completely open. There's a metal break wall here, but there is a little beach here where you can get in and a beach here. We will only do this swim in calm conditions. Now, if the waves are a little kicked up like they were during the swim John did the day before out at the city of Ludington, the beach out there, but we have enough boats out there where it's still safe, we may throw you guys in the water. But I can tell you this, no matter how many boats we have in the water, if the waves are like this, you're not going in. And if you're listening, you can't see the photo that I did, but they're the fun promotional photos I've used of John standing by the break wall where the waves just blowing up behind him, 20 feet in the air or whatever. Makes for a great picture, and shin deep running in water around the lighthouse, but it definitely is not swimming. John wouldn't get in the water there, and he's a very seasoned swimmer. So John, if you want to talk about that for just a second.
I mean, I would have. It was just too cold, Aaron.
Oh, he says that now. He says that now. Brave man when he's
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where obviously as you get closer, I mean, the worry is if it is kicked up like it is on those pictures, obviously people are going to want to take the fat, and you can see them in the background as I'm running there. They're white
capping way offshore, guys.
You can surf them. That said, even if the swim is open, you do want to swim off that break wall because it's just a metal wall between you and the water, and you don't want to get bashed up against that. So on that swim, you will want to kind of take that one a little bit wide as you work your way around that swim. And as we mentioned with the first swim of the day, that first swim and this swim, those will be the colder of the two swims. So but again, you're coming in off a long run at this point, so you may be welcoming some colder water to cool you off a little bit.
So I will say this, if that water is too rough to swim in, and I would guess it's a 50-50 probability by the time you get there later in the day, the waves are going to kick up, and who knows, right? Later in the season, mid-October, especially in November, are some of the biggest waves through that time of year. So we may actually have to make a call when the first swimmer starts to approach that area. So we will probably just let you know when you get there. No matter what. So if the waves are too bad and the water's too turbulent to get in there, then that means you're going to be running like you see in this picture. You're going to be running shin deep, maybe knee deep in this cold water. It's going to be splashing up against the break wall. It's going to be a really fun run around that lighthouse no matter what. And that is a very big historic lighthouse. It's really cool. It's our logo. I mean, it speaks for itself. Big Sable Lighthouse. So, I've gone out there many times as a photographer to take Milky Way shots at night of the stars and everything. So it's a really special place. It's really cool. And this shot right here, you can see it. It's a distorted angle of it. So it looks pretty small there, but it's huge. So whether you swim or run around it, regardless, doesn't really matter. You'll come back in for this next run. It's run 4 on this one, run 7 on the long course. And this run is, let's see, run 4, 2.75 miles. This is a nice, easy run. It's on what I'd call gravel, crushed granite, whatever you want to call it. Hold on, let me find a
sandy dirt road.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's really flat. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. He's actually running the opposite way, I believe, in this picture that you will be, because we did this all through 2 days and we were getting out there for the second part of this, but you're running on this road. It's dirt, it's sand, it's gravel, It changes constantly. There's a wooded section, there's dunes, all kinds of stuff. So it's nice and flat though. I'll say that. This run,
Yep.
that's not a right picture.
Yeah, again, if you're a runner and you're late in the race and you're wanting to make up some time, that's a place to do it. You can certainly open it up on the run there. And I think if I remember when I ran through the course by myself one day, you guys were waiting for me at the end with a beer, and I hauled ass down that road just because it was pouring rain and I was tired, and you had a beer at the end. So you can open it up a little bit if you are a runner there down to that last end. But at the same time, it's also an easy place to cook yourself. If the sun's out, there's not a lot of cover there.
Well, and keep in mind, guys, you still have one more swim that's 1,500 meters. So you're looking at, a mile swim, and you've really got to, that being said, it's essentially a lazy river. One of the things, if you don't live in Michigan, or even if you do and you don't really go to Ludington much, during the summer, that's what people do. They rent inner tubes here. My family and I did it last year. You get in here at this boat ramp by the dam, and you float this river. Now, there is hardly any current, at least when we did it. And it was, I believe, August when we did it. John didn't swim this again because we didn't know if the swimmer's itch was still around. And this feeds from the lake. So John didn't get in. We just kind of called it a day. We knew what we were in for with all of this in here, so we just stopped. But you will run from the lighthouse all the way down. This goes through the campground, which is super cool. We're actually camping there. I'm going to take a lot of pictures when we camp there. My family, for my wife's birthday and the kids. This campground is awesome. I don't know that there's any spots left. It sells out ridiculously fast. We got a couple of the spots right on the corner, probably the best ones there. But if you can and you want to camp, I highly recommend it. But you're going to run through that campground, come all the way out, get on this is paved here. You'll get on this paved sidewalk. You'll run along, and you'll cross the road here. Just get on the sidewalk again. This trail leads you right down to this little ramp. It's not really a boat ramp. I guess you could get in with a kayak, but it's where people get in with those inner tubes. And you're just going to swim this river. There could be a little current. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. My wife got in expecting a lot, and she was hauling one of the kids down, swimming this whole thing. So you will swim this. You go under there's a couple bridges here. You go under those. And then you go under this big bridge, and there is a little bit of a current here because this river kicks out into Lake Michigan and dumps. Now, I wanted to let everyone just kind of get dumped out into Lake Michigan. I thought that'd be super fun. It may or may not be deep enough. The depth varies in there, but the park didn't want that, and for good reason. If you're not a strong swimmer, there's some currents out here that could definitely mess with you. But right here, like I said, the depth varies. You can easily stand up knee deep, and you can walk right out onto the beach right here, and you'll follow the beach just around the corner. You'll run the beach right to the inflatable that's on the beach. That's it. And I don't have any pictures of that last area here towards the last swim or getting out. But if you've been there, you know what this area is. It's awesome. I love swimming under this bridge. This whole section getting out here is super cool and unique. And then just finishing right by this big, I don't know what you want to call it, a beach house. It's iconic. It's this big building that's right on the beach by the parking lot. So you'll finish there. We'll have some post-race food for you, and you guys can hang out. And that's about it. John, before I get into water stops real quick and some safety measures, do you want to talk about anything else for that last section or any of that?
No, like I said, that last section is gonna be really nice. I think, don't let that last swim freak you out. Like it is, it's not, like you said, a flowing current, but there is enough current to move you along. And it won't feel quite like a mile. So you'll be able to just kind of fall into it. And obviously there'll be sections that are moving a little faster than others, but it is kind of a fun swim under that bridge, or it looks like a fun swim under that bridge right out to that exit. And then that last little run, it's nothing like finishing with a little soft sand run to get to the finish line, but at least it's short. So, hopefully won't kill your legs too much there.
So the one thing about that river though, is that later in the year, it's had all summer. So if we did this in the spring has its own issues. I've already mentioned those, but if we did them in the spring, there'd be no vegetation build up on the river at all, really. By October, there's the vegetation from summer, and then it's kind of died off or is dying off. It's still there going into the fall, but the end of summer produces like some swampy kind of look to it. And by October, I went back in October and that had kind of washed away. So that's another good thing about October. It's not as bad as it is mid-September, late September, but you will run into a little vegetation in there. Maybe some algae, maybe just kind of some seaweed stuff coming up. Nothing that's going to hurt you or anything. May startle you just a little bit if it comes out of nowhere. But just know in there that it's not going to be a constant like you're swimming through ropes or anything like that. But I would definitely try and maybe swim towards the center of it to get the least amount of it possible. By then you won't care. I mean, you'll just be that close to the finish and want to get done with this thing. But that's a picture of John when he finished, nice and happy, like you will be. So just a couple other things. We have the aid stations. We'll have water, a cooler of water, and or a cooler of precision hydration. We should be able to do a cooler of water for you to choose from, and then a cooler of water with these tabs. If you've taken noon tabs and you don't know what precision hydration is, obviously it's different, but it's the same kind of thought behind it. They're electrolytes. So more people are probably familiar with noon. That's why I mentioned it, but precision hydration is great. They're our sponsor. We use them and they're generous to give us all that we need for all of our races. So one cooler of this, one cooler of water, or just one cooler with this in it. And then Science and Sport gives us bars. They're energy bars and energy gels. So we've gotten the question, are they gluten-free? Yes, they should be gluten-free. But if you want to train with what we're going to have on course, precision hydration and Science and Sport gels and bars are what we're going to have out there. Now you may come across the occasional water stop where we have some peanut butter sandwiches, some bananas, pretzels, maybe some soda or something like that. I'm not going to promise it to you. We will for sure have the energy bars and gels and stuff, and we'll try on the other things and go from there. You will have, John, do you have one of those cups, the silicone
I
flask?
was gonna say, yeah, you'll have the precision hydration stuff, and this is an old cup, but same idea, right? Collapsible. You can scrunch this right up and shove it in your wetsuit leg, or one of the pictures there you can see I had what's called the kangaroo top underneath the wetsuit, and it's basically just a sleeveless shirt you wear underneath with a series of pockets that you can dump everything in. So I usually carry obviously my little handy dandy water cup like this, and also a flask, collapsible flask that you can collapse up, fill up with water, and that stores nicely right in there as well.
So with your packet, when you go, so we have the option, you can get your packet mailed to you. If you chose that already, great. Then you don't have to pick your packet up, the packet pickup. That was, wow, that was a lot of P's. But if you want that and we offered it after you signed up, you can always go back into your Run Sign Up account, sign in, go to where it says manage account and just click that. And then you can go to the add-on section and you can add on anything. Now in the coming days, if you need a wetsuit, we will have a limited supply of ARC wetsuits that we'll rent. And I'm just waiting for the okay from them. Hopefully they allow me to use the add-on that I've already put in there. It's just not enabled yet, where you could go back in and reserve a wetsuit. That is a one-day rental. So you would pick that up at packet pickup. If you had your packet mailed to you, you still have to come to packet pickup to get the suit. That's not going to be mailed that early. It is a one-day rental, but at least you don't have to wait in the normal line that would be there. You just find the wetsuit line and you pick it up there. You return it at the end of the race. It's as easy as that. Or we have a discount. You can email us. I can't get it to come up. I'm sharing a different screen, but you can email us if you'd like the ARC 10% coupon code and you want to order one of their wetsuits. That's fine too. We'll give you that. They are the best in the game. We definitely recommend them. They're awesome sponsors. But whatever you choose, that's an add-on option. So the training plan we offer, there's still time for that. If you wanted to add that on, that's through Training Peaks. And then also, like I said, mailing your packet. Now, what you'll get in your packet, regardless of when you pick it up, short course is blue silicone cap, long course is red. You'll have matching bibs. We call them bibs. They're like run singlets. They're meant to be tight. We have one size fits all. If you're a male, you're going to get a large. If you're a female, you're going to get a small. And if you are the outlier, if you're a female that would like a large or extra large, if you're a male that would like a small or you're even an extra small, we can work with you to give you the opposite. they're not male and female. I call the women's bibs the smalls because 90% of them are going to fall into that category. But they're unisex. So if you're a male and you need the small, that's fine. You can let us know after the fact. But whatever you put in your registration, if you put in if you're male, you're getting that large, and then we can work it out later. But it tends to fit everyone in the range very well. They're meant to be tight. If they're just a little too tight, they're going to loosen up when they get wet. So if they're really, really big, then again, you can, on the male side, you can work with us to get a smaller one, but on the female side, there's no smaller than the small. So you're going to have to maybe knot it up in the back or use a clip or something, whatever you need to do with that. Everyone needs to wear one. Everyone this year, and this differs from previous years, has their own number. In the past, we had one number per team, one number per solo, but there's a lot of confusion on our end that comes with that you guys probably never even knew happened, but we're trying to be more organized behind the scenes. So every single person has a unique number, team or solo, doesn't matter. So if you're on a team and your partner has number 1000 and you've got number 1085, doesn't matter. Those two numbers are still associated with your team, but they're also individually associated with you. So if you get split up, you pass out somewhere or you get disoriented, you don't know what's going on, we're going to know that that's you and not wonder if it's you or your teammate, which is great. You each have your own timing chips. Those are associated to you. Now, that being said, when you cross the line as a team, you should be close to each other. Whichever chip crosses first is your official time. That doesn't mean that on the last run, you could tell the faster runner to just go ahead. You guys have to be close to each other, let's say within 30 feet of each other at all times, okay? The tether doesn't have to be worn unless we tell you it does, maybe in foggy conditions that we still choose to start, or if the waves kick up but we're still doing the swims, we may institute that at the beginning, or you may hear us during the race tell you to put the tether on. You do have to have the tether if you're a team, but you do not have to wear it unless we tell you. These are called rest tubes. In the past, we used to give you guys the inflatable buoys that were pulled behind you that you really didn't know were there, but they were the inflatable, yellow or orange footballs, pink footballs, whatever color they were. And they're kind of a pain. They work great, but they're kind of a pain to carry. We helped you guys figure out how to do that without it really, weighing you down. But we really wanted to streamline this so you didn't have to worry about those. And the people that are doing short course only, will be given this free rental. It's called Rest Tube. It goes around your waist, clips just like a fanny pack. Bringing back the 80s and 90s. And this you can run with. You won't know it's there. Keep it tight enough. If you get an emergency, you can pull this tab here. It's got a CO2 cartridge in it. It will auto inflate. It's a big, long yellow tube. If I mail you your packet, you will not get these. I can't mail CO2 cartridges. If you're flying in, you can't fly with them. These will be something you have to pick up, just like the wetsuits. Okay. So if you're around, which most people will be, come by and pick these up and pick your wetsuit up. If you rent one, you still don't have to wait in that long line. If you're doing the ship to you packet because you can't make it and you just got to be there the next morning, we'll have these available the next morning for some people in the short course that may have missed it. There's a whistle on here too, in case you need it. You turn these in at the end. They're free rentals, which means you give them back, okay? Do you have anything to add, John? That is all I have.
No, I don't think so. I think you nailed it. I mean, we've been through the course, we've been through the gear. I mean, if anyone else has obviously any more specific gear questions, I don't have my wetsuit here to show you, unfortunately, but we can certainly answer those questions if anyone has them.
Shoes, I would say just lightweight trail shoes that drain.
I would do something with a good lug. I mean, obviously my shoe choice has been the Hoka Evo Jaws. I do have that here with some pretty significant lugs on the bottom, but with Ludington, I think you could get away with something a little bit less. We're certainly hitting some trails and we're hitting some sand, then the lugs will help you a little bit there, but we're not hitting quite so much with the slippery,
Stairs are about it as far as that goes.
So, yeah.
Just make sure, guys, it's something that drains, something that's light, not some big monster of a heavy shoe that, keeps the water in it.
You don't want something that's going to absorb a lot of water.
Yeah. And then water stops are listed on the maps as little water droplets. The Red Cross looking Red Cross is where we're going to try to put medical. We have a medical team out there. The yellow kayak icons that you see are where we're going to try and have kayaks along the course. We will have kayaks. The amount may vary. We're shooting for what's on the map, even more if we can. And then the red kayak icons or boat icons are potentially going to be things like pontoons or motorboats, or jet skis, something that's a little bit quicker of an evac there. So I think that we've touched on most of that. When you get out of the water, there'll either be a water stop there with somebody that's manning that and checking you out, or if there's not, there should be a medical team there or someone checking you out as they wave you out of the water, because that's our way of keeping track of who gets out of each swim. So that's what we do at every race there. I think that's it, guys. Does that mean long course will use yellow inflatables? No. Okay, so there are no buoys on any of the swim run courses. Swim run doesn't work like that. I don't know if that was specifically your question. There's no marker buoys. There's exit flags, cones, strobe lights, whatever we use. At the beginning, we'll lead you right up to where the swim is, and there's usually someone there, especially if where you get in, you can't really see the exit. They're going to have to explain to you what to do. If you were referring to these are mandatory for short course, the rest tubes, because you don't have a team partner or a teammate looking out for you in the water, waiting for you at the exit, making sure you're exiting quicker than we're even checking you out. So as a team, you're accountable for each other, even if you're not tethered together. So that is another element of safety. So these are not required. You can buy one of these yourself. You're more than welcome to buy one of those inflatable football looking things I was talking about and carry those with you. That's fine. Doesn't matter. You're welcome to do whatever you want. But as far as what we supply for you and what is mandatory, short course only, these rest tubes. The rest of you swim.
Not short course, solo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Solo long course and solo short course.
Damn it, I get talking, John. You got to interrupt me, sir. Solo
mandatory. If you're a team short course, you don't have to. Solo long course, solo short course does have to use those.
It's been a long day, guys, and we've knocked 4 of these out in 2 weeks, so forgive me. Solo athletes get this, and team doesn't. Okay. Is that it, guys?
Cool.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So is that it, John? You got anything else?
I'm good. I hope to see a lot of people there. It's going to be fun.
All right. Thanks for listening to our rambling, guys. It went way longer, but hopefully that helped you out. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll see you out there.